Greetings and salutations, and welcome back to the Project 1999 Everquest Classic server with your host, Relinar. And we have been in front of the Druid Ring here in West Commons, begging for buffs because we are going on a long journey to Highhold Keep, well actually Highhold Pass. So let's get moving before these buffs run out. Now, what is the time? The time is 1 p.m. and that is good because we need to get through Kithicore Forest, which is sort of a newbie zone during the day, but then at night it turns into a high-level undead manifestation. It's just horrible at night for young players. You go from orc pawns and bixies to level, 35-ish undead nightmares. So I'm glad it's daytime. Let's just get through Kithicore Forest and on to Highhold Pass. Now I do have See Invisible, Superior Camouflage, Spirit of Wolf, and Levitate because I've been begging at that Druid Ring for a little bit and someone was kind enough to cast on me. Now the Camouflage doesn't help us with the undead because they'll see through that. To be invisible to the undead, you need the invisibility versus undead spell. But that's not what we need once we get into High Pass Hold, because as a Dark Elf warrior of Inrock, everything hates Relinar in High Pass Hold. I'm talking about the orcs, I'm talking about the gnolls, I'm talking about the guards, and even the citizens. So invisibility, if you're evil, is important once you get to High Pass Hold. Now, we're fortunate to be traveling during the daytime, but I'm still going to travel along the edges of the walls as if it were nighttime, just to show you, and also because there's a bunch of rangers in this zone and they don't like me either. So you basically zone in, hang a right, and then keep to the wall, and going this direction you'll eventually get to the entrance to the halfling city of Ravager. Now you gotta be careful at night even along the wall because some of the undead do wander pretty close to the wall, and there's a pretty interesting hill up here which can surprise you. It could be this one. I thought it was a little bigger, but I've definitely come over this hill. Yeah, it's not that one. I've definitely come over the hill and then face smacked right into an undead warrior of some kind. Here it is. So you do have to be careful even though you're traveling along the wall, even at night. So we're just going to head west until we get to the zone wall, and then we're going to take a left. And then eventually we'll get to a little tunnel area, and that will be the zone in to Highhold Pass. Now the tricky thing about Superior Camouflage is that it will randomly drop. It has a maximum duration, and then it can randomly drop on you. So we want to kind of hustle so we can get through Highhold Pass. And on to the next segment of our little adventure here. Actually, before we zone over to Highhold Pass, there is a little area that we can hunt at during the day only, though, obviously. Unless you're a level 40-ish, you're not really going to be hunting in the zone at night. But here's Rivervale. Not too much longer will bring us to the zone wall, and then we'll just take a left. The undead, oh, that's somebody that probably died to an undead at night. The undead definitely wander around here and behind these trees, so you gotta be careful. The other tricky thing about being invisible is that, say an undead is at this tree and then sees me. So far so good. I just have to outrun the undead mob before he gets to me, because if he engages me in combat, then invisibility will drop as well. So having Spirit of Wolf is important too, to outrun the mobs if they actually see you. So here's the little tunnel to Hyold Pass. Now if the camps in Hyold Pass are taken, there are some orcs over here that you can hunt. Remember, this is during the day, and it's not too far, so they're just by these trees. They are called Shraylock orcs. They're on a different faction than the other orcs, and they drop some weight reduction bags. So here they are. So they're pretty popular even for high-level players to hunt. And they are green to me now. And there's just a couple there, and there's one over there. But yeah, I don't want to hunt them right now because I don't want my invis to drop. But that's an option if the Gnoll and the orc camps are occupied, which is where we are currently going to go. We're going to go through the entire zone of Hyold Pass to get to the other side. It sounds like a trip, but actually it's a pretty small zone because we are heading towards the Gnolls. That is our next destination along the Platinum Highway. Hello. So far so good. Our invis didn't drop. Even our levitate is still good. So we are going to continue, hopefully. Now, right as you zone in, there's going to be an orc camp. The orc camp is good for groups. The problem is they are so tightly packed, and someone's camping them right now. They're so tightly packed that it's very hard to single pull them unless you're high level already. So as a solo farmer, which basically we are right now, we're going to pass those and go to the other side of the zone and pick on the Gnolls. And you have these citizens here. They hate me. I see a couple of packets of them. Hello, hello. Yep, they can't see me. Great. So come to here to the bridge, and if you go down this way, that's Hyold Keep. But we want to stay in the zone, so we want to cross this bridge, and then cross another bridge. And that just weirded me out with that turn lag for some reason, because it's raining probably. So over the two bridges, and then to the left there's a guard. He would definitely not like me. Definitely very red to me. There's a little pocket town over here. That's not where we want to go. We want to go straight by that. Sometimes levitate is kind of annoying. But so here's a ledge, and you'll notice there's some citizens down here as well. They hate me. But we're going the right way to the Gnolls, and then we just want to keep going left. And then around this corner are the Gnolls, and I'm lucky because it looks like there's a full spawn. So I like to start on the other end. So go through here. This is great. So far so good. All the way to the other zone line, which is right here, and you can generally tell because there's usually a line of corpses right here where people have died. So this line is a pretty good indication of where the zone line is. It's probably over here, but no. It's good. It's a good guide. And I tend to actually fight right here. So if I am running badly, then I can just step out. So when did I end last time? I was 20 or just into 21. I came here, now I'm 24, and I just beat up these Gnolls. So here we go. There's a bunch of Gnolls here, and let's see. We're gonna get some faction. Make sure you come prepared. See all these bandages? Yeah, that's not overkill. We're gonna use all these bandages as a warrior. And I got some food and drink, and I got some arrows. So I came prepared. So we slay Gnolls. Now an interesting thing about the Gnolls and the orcs is that maybe like half of them, of the Gnolls, and probably all of the orcs, spawn, and then after a certain amount of time, they actually run dial keep and fight the guards, which is funny since they're so low level compared to the guards. But there's the one I just killed. There's another one near the zone. There's one here, and there's one here. And there's a champion, we'll get him. And then there's a couple under the bridge. At 21, these are basically what I've killed. But there are little dangers here. I'll get to that after the fight. You can see we started fighting, so our invisibility just dropped, which makes sense. Now, why are we fighting gnolls? Because they drop gnoll scalps, and the orcs in the zone drop orc scalps, and those are worth about 10 plat each. And they are highly sought after because you can turn them in for a faction and really good experience. So, if we get one here, but you can see we gain faction with the guards, the bandits, which is strange, also the residents. I'm assuming the residents in this zone are Caerulus residents, but they could be outside in the other zone. And then of course the mucktail gnolls gets worse. So one problem is that you gotta look up here, and now I'm high enough level where these don't aggro on me. But I have seen way too many barbarians coming from Everfrost. They make that long run, they get all the way to High Pass Hold, and they start running, and these gnolls up top aggro on them because they're so much lower level than the gnoll. And that's a problem, and I usually see a string of barbarian corpses here. People run all the way back from Everfrost, and then they try again, and then they die, and they don't even know how they're getting aggro. That's because this gnoll up there will aggro on him, but if you stay towards the wall, you have a better chance. But you see how close I am? For some reason, he's not aggroing me. I don't know if there's a vertical component to aggro, but let's not question it. We just know that I am high enough level where I don't get aggro. The other thing is that there's a guard that patrols up here, and when I was 21, the guard aggroed on me a few times, because, you know, everybody hates Relinar. So that's another thing to be careful of if you're evil. That's basically it. I spent level 21 to 24 here. I'll probably get to 25 here, and I just want to collect these gnoll scalps. I would like to get an example of what they look like. I mean, they basically look like leather padding. Generally, I make a pull, I bring them all the way here. Oh. Now, I wonder what level this person is, and if they're going to get aggro. That would be good times to show. She's 8, so that's might be problematic. Let's see what happens. I'm not too worried about these champions at this point. Nope. She's invisible. Didn't get aggro. So, good for her. Now, one other thing that I brought with me is my shield, because you will be fighting casters here, and when you are, you want to switch over to your shield instead of using your second weapon, because they will cast on you, and the shield gives you the ability to bash, and that gives you a chance to interrupt the cast. And these casters are shaman, so they're going to cast blind on you, which is okay, we'll eat that. They're going to cast poison and or disease debuffs on you, that's okay, we'll eat that. But what you want to interrupt is when there's a gnoll scalp. So you're going to, oh, we actually don't have one. Okay, we can get rid of that one spreading cell, which pains me, but it has to be done. So the shaman will cast things you want to interrupt the shaman on casts are slows, which is kind of like a blue colored spell graphic. Heals, which are again a blue colored graphic. And frost, they're frost spells, which are just, they're really painful. I think they do, it does about 75 damage, which is, well, that's just a lot at this level. And that is a purpley kind of spell effect. I'm sure eventually we'll fight a shaman, so I'll show those. So you definitely want to bring a shield. And like I showed, as a warrior or a melee class, you want to bring a ton of bandages from level 20 to 24. I went through a lot of them, and when I ran out, it really slowed things down. I basically would, so here's the spawn, not the one I just killed, but the ones that actually run towards hierarchy. So my sort of strategy here was to kill these gnolls, and it's a little easier now that I'm 24, and I'm not getting experience for them, that's okay. I'm simply collecting my gnoll scalps to sell. But I would be okay, at level 21-ish, to begin a fight with a single gnoll at half health. So that was my goal. I basically would fight, bandage myself up to half health, and then continue fighting. And it went pretty quick, actually. And these gnoll scalps are not a common drop. They're an uncommon drop, so they drop fairly often. And all the time, while I'm killing these hundreds of gnolls, I am gaining faction with the local guards, so eventually I'll be able to roam around here freely. But until then, gotta be wary about this guard up here. So there's another stag spawn right here. He'll always be here. Throw an arrow in his face, run back to the zone line, because safety is key. And when I was 20, 21, you know, I could only fight a few at a time, and then I need to rest. And then these are kind of on a weird spawn. The patrollers that invade High-Held Keep are on a roughly 15-minute spawn, but some of the other spawns are 6 minutes. So on your lower level, it's very hard to, you know, keep things going. You're going to get spawned on and then have to zone out and that sort of thing. So just be wary of that when you're first starting out here collecting your scalps. You want to take just a few at a time, and that's fine. The respawn is pretty quick. So bring a shield, bring lots of bandages, bring arrows, and one thing I forgot, or I just actually didn't have room for, is extra arrow components. But in this case, I'd rather take the extra bandages because I run through those pretty quickly. It's a little easier now that I'm 24, but in 2021, yeah, those bandages really came in handy. You can see for the champions, I do get experience still. So that is basically the ground floor for High-Held Pass. Now we can work on the second floor. You can see there's a whole nother setup of gnolls up here. Now you want to kind of just work your way here so they can't see you, because there is a spawn, and it's sometimes a named gnoll that spawns, and he will patrol back and forth here. He's not up now, so I'm fairly safe killing this soothsayer, who is, by the way, a shaman. So when I get back to my pulse spot, I'm going to switch to my shield, and I'll show you the spells. You can see that was a green spell effect, which is going to be some kind of poison spell, or disease spell, which I resisted. So here's a slow. That's what it looks like, that's what it sounds like. I bashed him in time, but it didn't work. My bash failed, and you can see I resisted here. That's the frost spell, which I interrupted correctly. Now you don't want to spam bash, you want to wait until you see the spell that you want to interrupt. There's this heal, which I interrupted, but sort of the annoying part about the healing, they sort of get into a healing cycle, and then you just spam healing, so you can't really bash and interrupt every one. because they just cast them too fast, and bash does not refresh fast enough. So that's the first one of the ledge. I don't even know. See, there's Captain Oberon. Yeah, he doesn't like me. I'm safe there because the actual ledge where those Merlons are blocks his view. But if he goes to the right of that ledge, it's the little cave back there. If he gets there, then he can see me. So this looks pretty safe. I don't want to bash, I want to do that. Now, you can fight over here, but the problem is, once all those invaders spawn, they're going to come right by here. And you can have ads pretty much every time they spawn. And that can be a good thing if you're high level. But if you're just starting out here, that's going to be a bad thing. And you probably can't handle that. And you will die miserably and then have to do long corpse retrieval. So I recommend fighting on the other side of the zone where I was before. You see that volunteer just spawned. He's not going to like me, but he is low level, so he probably will ignore me. High enough level at this point. The other thing about here is you'll see momentarily when this champion starts running. So these guys are greening out now, but that's okay. We're not here for XP. We're here for the no scalps. So you see this champion runs. He's going to run up here, and then around the corner, a guard paths. Hopefully he's not there right now. That would be just terrible. A guard paths right over here. So as an evil character, yeah, that's going to be problematic. The guard comes right up to here and hangs out. So as these gnolls are fleeing, yeah, that's going to be problematic for evil characters. So we'll just skip him for now. You don't want to kill those volunteers as an evil character, by the way, because they get a -30 hit to these high pass guards factions and those resident factions. I believe they're on the Caerulus residents. I'm not really sure though. I'd have to look that up. But the hit is -30 to the guards, which means you're going to have to kill 30 gnolls to get that faction back. So this actually might be a 2-pull. Let's see if I can get one. So you, as an evil character, you don't want to... hopefully he doesn't hurt me. Oh, see, that was a 76 damage frost spell, which was ouch. And this is going to be problematic, because these guys spawned. I should be okay, though. Ooh, hello, everybody. Hello. I was too slow while I was explaining things. So we're just going to, yeah, just going to zone out and restart that. So even at 24, I can't do the entire top ledge without the respawn, because the respawn is pretty quick. And you can see I'm below 50%, so I'm going to bandage up, and then rezone and start over. As soon as I zone. I know something about the rain causes me to lag, especially when I'm just turning around and such. So what is my bind wound skill? 125, which is I think max for this level. So you can tell I've been really working in it. What's my fletching, by the way, while I'm here? 115. Not so bad. So there we go. One bandage gives me, I think, 25 hit points. I think it's your skill divided by 5 gives you the number of hit points each bind wound action gives you, assuming success. I'm a... Okay, killed everything here. Hello, people. So of course, we want to kill this shaman first, because he's just going to cast on us all day. There's actually 2 shaman here, which is fine. Not going to be too bad for us. See, that one we can eat. We're fine with that. That's a poison spell, Tainted Leaf. It's a low level. We can resist that. And if we don't resist that, then we will just deal with it. It's not a... Let's go. it's not a terrible spell for us to eat. It doesn't do a lot of damage. This other shaman doesn't seem to be casting anything. You don't want to get slowed. That is definitely annoying. And as soon as this shaman dies, there's a hail. He's in the hail cycle now. I missed. As soon as the shaman dies, I'm going to switch back over to my weapon to do better damage. Because of course, dual wield is very good. Let's see, let me go over my list here. I think I've covered everything except now the actual turn-in for the gnolls is the guard that hates me. So you basically turn in the gnoll scalps to the guard. He'll give you experience. And the neat thing is you don't get any negative faction with any group. It's all positive faction. Apparently these high pass guards are corrupt. They're sort of like the corrupt... They're the Freeport Militia version of high pass. So the Freeport Militia is corrupt. That's why the paladins and the clerics of Freeport don't like them. And these high pass guards are corrupt, and they're actually in cahoots with each other. But since we're way out here in high pass, excellent. Is that a scout? They actually don't have any negative hits, which is good. You can see I'm pretty beat up, so I'm gonna bind wound. So there's a guard on the other side of the zone near the orcs that accepts the orc scalps. So, in order for evils to turn in these either scalps, if they don't have the correct faction, you can have a high-level druid, like 39 plus druid, cast wolf form on you, and that will help your faction a little bit. Because to turn in the scalps, you need to be apprehensive. So that's a bit of a trick if you're starting out pretty much max negative faction with them, like a Dark Elf Warrior of Vinrock. So just be wary of that. And actually, I'm going to fight a few more gnolls and then check my faction, because I have killed hundreds of gnolls. I don't know if my faction's good enough yet to roam freely here in High Pass. That'll be interesting to know. So here's the standard procedure here. Bandage up to 50%, and then have at it. We can get rid of everybody's corpses here. Don't need them for illustrative purposes anymore. Hello, champion. Have my arrow in your face. So, my plan is to stay here. I'll probably hit 25. You can see I'm 13%. Into 24, and by that time I'll probably have a full backpack full of gnoll scalps, and I'm gonna sell them because I definitely want that tier L cultural armor. That's what I want. So basically I will replace my arrows and bandages with gnoll scalps. Yeah, that's my plan. They do sell pretty quickly for 10 blight each, so I need a couple bags full in order to finish saving up for my tiered out cultural armor. I think that's pretty much all I have to cover. Yes, give me more scalps. Kind of gruesome when you think about it. I mean, I just slaughtered this gnoll, and now I'm gonna take my trusty X of the Valium Brood and then slice off his scalp and then, you know, put that in my pocket. It's a little on the gruesome side. But hey, it's Everquest. Everquest is pretty brutal overall. So here's another shaman, so I'm gonna have to switch to my shield. Did I get that in time? No. Unfortunately, I resisted that. We're gonna eat that. We're gonna interrupt that. We don't want that frostbolt hitting us. No thanks. And he's gonna chain cast heal. Unfortunately, it's a very good casting spell as well. So they do drop other stuff. So if you're like a barbarian shaman coming through and you don't have any gear, it's pretty okay gear. But this is size large, so that's larger races only. So, alright, I think that pretty much covers this next stage of our journey, High Hole Pass. I'm going to continue collecting these Gnoll scalps and deleting all of my silver and copper because I'm rich like that. And I think next time I will... I got something special planned for next time, so I won't give anything away. So I'm going to continue here, slaying these gnolls. Oh, actually, before I go, I wanted to check my faction. I gotta be pretty close to be not kill on sight here. So I'm looking for the dubious, Glauer's Dubiously faction. Let me just check here real quick. These regular gnolls are very low level, so just eat them up and then take their scalps, because that's what we do. This time. I want to see... Of course, he's not anywhere to be found when I want to check my faction. Hello, champion. Are any of these blue anymore? I don't think so. So it's going to be a long way to 25, but that's alright. I'm not here for XP. I'm here for farming. Oh, hello. These two I shouldn't have a problem with. Love that proc. Never gets old. Okay, we're going to eat that one. Interrupt that heal. You'll get very familiar with the spell effects because later, especially later in the higher levels, it becomes very important to interrupt spells. I mean, mobs will even gate on you at the high level, so they'll get back to their friends and cause a train. It can be really hairy. So we want to avoid that. I really want to check my faction real quick. I started at Scowls, of course, and then I worked that up to Glares Threateningly, and I gotta be close to Glares Dubiously. I'm just very curious. That will allow me some freedom to move around. Eventually we will go inside High Hole Keep, but I'm trying to get my culture armor first. I got a little something planned before I go into High Hole Keep, so stay tuned for that. See, they drop fairly often. I got 4 already in just these few minutes. Ah, there he is. Ooh, I am Glauer's Dubiously. Oh, that's excellent. Alright, that just made my day. I mean, I've killed hundreds of orcs. Nothing there. So, I think for right now, I will end this episode. Thank you for watching, and until next time, safe travels.